Captain America Civil War is directed by the Russo brothers, the same people who did Winter Soldier, and stars all the people you've come to know and love over the course of the MCU. Now, the plot for this film is very similar to the comic of the same name. It deals with the collateral damage that the Avengers cause on their many missions, whether they're willing to owe up to it, as well as signing their identities away to the government so that the government control all the missions that they're on, rather than just letting the Avengers go around doing their own missions of their own accord. Tony Stark is all for this agreement, however, Steve Rogers is on the defence and completely disagrees. Now, I know what I'm about to say may sound like the most fanboyish thing I've ever said, but it's true. This is hands down the best Marvel movie I have seen since the Avengers. And it's not just because of all the superhero things and action that happens in the film, because there is a lot of depth to be found in this movie, similar to Winter Soldier, which is why I love this film so much. Every character's motivations are made clear right from the start, not just Captain America and Iron Man. Every character that is in this film has a clear motivation and a clear reason of being there, which makes the eventual throwdowns more meaningful and just more worthwhile. The directing from the Russo brothers is on top form. If they taught us anything from Winter Soldier, it's the fact that not all superhero movies have to be the same, and they perfectly blended elements of a spy espionage thriller with a superhero film, which is kind of what they do here, but add a lot more onto it, because you have a lot more characters and you just have a lot more going on, but they still keep the dark espionage spy theme there, but just add more onto it and make it better than Winter Soldier. The dramatic scenes are all handled very, very well and are all necessary to the plot, but it's the action scenes that just come out as the best things in this film. In particular, the airport scene that you've probably all seen in the trailers by now. It is hands down the best just fight scene in general from a Marvel movie ever. It's the best thing I've ever seen in a Marvel movie for ages. It's just so perfect. The acting from literally everyone is great. All of the returning cast have their quirks and charms that you know them for, as well as some much needed character development and drama to add to these characters. In particular, Vision and Scarlet Witch have some very heartfelt and dramatic scenes between them that really work. Also, in terms of drama, and the most dramatic character in this film probably has to be Robert Downey Jr. Even though Chris Evans does have some very dramatic moments, all of the dramatic scenes involving Robert Downey Jr. just hit a little bit harder than the ones featuring Chris Evans. Also, it's nice to see some emotional depth added to Tony Stark's character, rather than the regular snarky persona that we're used to seeing. Also, the newcomers are just as good as the old ones. Chadwick Boseman brings his A-game as Black Panther. It's just so good to see a lot of emotion given to a certain character, and you really do feel for everything he's trying to fight for and everything he's just trying to do throughout the film. And then there's the elephant in the room, which is Spider-Man. And I've got to admit, this is the best, most comic accurate version of Spider-Man I've ever seen on screen. They nailed Spider-Man, they nailed Peter Parker, and Tom Holland just nailed it in general. In regards to problems, I literally only have one, and it's a very minor nitpick. The villain is rather weak and does feel like he's only there to progress the plot along and for no other reason whatsoever. Even though Daniel Brühl does a great job in that role, the character just feels kind of pointless overall. And there's just finally one thing I want to point out before I give my initial grade, and it's nothing wrong with the movie, it's just something that I want to point out in general about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because we've got to a point now where you can't really dip in and out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For example, we get like 2 or 3 of these films a year, and if you think that film looks good but the other one doesn't, you can't see the one that's good and skip the bad one. Because 1, the bad one might not be as bad, and 2, I mean, Civil War is the best example, because it's not just a sequel to The Winter Soldier, it's also a sort of Avengers sequel, as well as tying into pretty much every Marvel Cinematic Universe film there has been, minus Guardians of the Galaxy. So you really do need to pay attention to all the films previous. The reason I say this is because when walking out of the screening of Civil War that I went to see, there was a family who were complaining about the film, and I quote, they said it was a waste of their money and it was boring. If they was expecting full out action from start to finish, then this was not the film they should have gone and seen. And also, have they not seen the other Marvel films? Rants aside, I thought Captain America Civil War was the best Marvel movie there has been in ages. The action is spectacular, everything that happens is necessary, and the Russo brothers did a great job in balancing all of these characters at once, which is one thing that Age of Ultron didn't do as well as this one. I'm going to give Captain America Civil War a 9.5 out of 10. If it wasn't for the villain being so weak, then I would have given it a straight out 10. But this is the best Marvel movie I have seen since the Avengers, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Anyway guys, that was my review for Captain America Civil War. I hope to see you in the next one, and just thanks for watching, and I hope you subscribe, like this video, as well as liking my Facebook page, The Media Critic. Bye!